Hello and welcome back to the Unconventional Podcast with Grace Hardy. Today we're joined by James, so welcome.
Thank you very much for having me, Grace.
No worries. Do you want to give yourself a little introduction to the listeners?
I'm a lecturer at the University of Chichester, YouTuber, TikToker, social influencer. Oh, I'm not sure about that. But today's podcast is going to be none of this blasé of, let's keep it safe and whatnot. It's going to be pure what is on my mind, what is coming out of my heart, and it'll be full honesty for today.
Amazing. So let's get started with the first question. What made you get into accounting and was it on purpose?
Very good question to get us going. First of all, I wanted to start my own business. And I put into Google, how do you run your own business and why do businesses fail? And it came up with, you don't make enough money, don't look after your cash flow, all these sort of things. And I went, hang on, who's running all these businesses? And then I looked online and I went, oh my word, all these CEOs, majority of them are accountants or they have some financial background, because if you don't know your numbers, then it's probably not going to go well. That was the first thing. And then I never really sort of wanted to be an accountant at the start. I went to the university, went down that kind of route, and I thought I was going to do like a business and management kind of degree. And then I went, there's quite a lot of those out there. And I think accounting might get me a bit more money and stuff. So yeah, that was my sort of 18-year-old mindset.
Do you know what? Not a bad mindset to have. And then after university, where did you go to do your qualification?
So before I started my ACCA, I finished university, and one thing I want to get on record is just getting students or youngsters to go and see the world. So I was 21 and I went and did Camp America. Now, most people think that's on a summer camp looking after kids, and I went to a camp fair up in Manchester where they get all the camps from all around America, and I rocked up with my CVs in a plastic wallet and said, hello, my name's James, I do accounting and finance at university. I'm sort of here because I want to go travel, but I've never been to America. And you can go work in a business office out there, which I did. So I was the soccer referee, business office assistant, and part-time lifeguard / jet skier, which was quite cool. So yeah, go and do that. And then I came back and got on a study contract with ACCA, working in practice. That's another thing you've got to get on record. Finding a company to pay for your studies, absolutely rock and roll, because it costs thousands of pounds.
Honestly, it's so expensive, and that's one of the reasons why I went through the apprenticeship route for my qualification, because when I heard about apprenticeships, for me, I was very naive in the fact that I thought you could only do them in like hairdressing and construction. No one had really said, you can do them in accounting or law or whatever it may be. And then I was like, I get paid to learn and go to work.
Yeah.
My qualification gets paid for, and then I get 3 years work experience on top of that. That's crazy.
That's one of the reasons why I particularly like to, I know you do as well, post content online, because you just think it only takes one person to see a video to then make a decision, and you just change their life. I get DMs from people on results day going, James, I watched your video, I got 50 out of 100, 1 mark into passing. It just makes your day on there. So if anyone's watching thinking, should I do this, should I do that, just go for it, because otherwise you'll look back and you'll regret it otherwise.
100%, and I think it's really important to look at all of your options. So university and apprenticeships as well. I knew I wasn't suited for university, but my sister, for example, was suited for university and wouldn't be suited for an apprenticeship. So I don't believe there's any right or wrong way of doing it. It's just whatever suits you.
Exactly, and reach out. Just ask. You might be watching this podcast going, I really want to ask James and Grace a question. Do it. We see the comments on there. Reach out, LinkedIn, friends and family, whoever it might be. The worst case scenario is they're going to say no. But if you say, you know what, James, I'll buy you a beer if I can chat to you for 20 minutes. Perfect.
Anyone can buy me an ice matcha and I'll answer any questions.
There you go.
And so how was it studying the ACCA? How did you find it?
Pretty tough, I'll be honest with you, because I was working full time and then studying on the side for my ACCA. Now, that was a balance between some midweek leave from work, so I didn't have to go into the office, but then some study contract changed, so it had to be Saturday, Sunday, some evenings. And before you know it, you kind of think to yourself, is my life just get up, go to work, eat, study, sleep? Yes, it was for a bit. But I'm not going to beat around the bush. There are some employers where that is the expectation. And it has been, because historically, lots of the directors out there, they used to do 3 or 4 exams at the same time. They used to do weekends, evening studies. They never had on demand or fantastic YouTubers like ourselves to help them out. So it's a case of it's so worth it that once you get qualified, the world is your oyster as to you want to go work in practice, industry, wherever around the world. The ball's in your court.
And yeah, I think that's really important. Like once you've got your qualifications, so many doors open for you, especially with ACA and other qualifications, as they're transferable to different countries. For example, when I was on doing my pathway, I was like, well, I don't want to be in the UK forever because it's really cold and I like need a tan all year round. And so I was looking at where different qualifications were accepted in different countries, and that was really an exciting prospect. But also, if you're in one sector of the business and you want to go do something else once you're qualified or even part qualified, it opens up so many more doors.
Yeah, especially if you can speak another language as well. But it's having that curiosity to think outside the box, that you can just up sticks, depends on your ties, and everyone's different in their situation. But again, reach out on the likes of LinkedIn, find someone who's done what you're wanting to do, and ask them how they did it.
And so how did you find like balancing study, work and life? Because I always think that's so difficult.
Pretty tricky, to be honest with you. Now, for our viewers today who maybe not listen to us on the podcast, I used to be, give or take, about 16 stone, which is about 101 kilograms, give or take. So quite a big guy, because I just put on loads of weight because I wasn't just looking after myself. Now I try and help and sort of advocate for, I know people who use that sort of work-life balance, but it's work-life study balance, because otherwise it can be just go to the office, you're not doing any steps, not hydrating yourself, eating poor food, and generally not feeling good about yourself. Whereas now, any task that I have, and I think, imagine James from 10 years ago, before he was doing his studying, to what you do now, James, running 2 businesses, working full-time, travelling around the world, helping thousands of people. It's just understanding like little things to help you get the marginal gains, to get that little bit better. If anyone wants any help, ask away. I've made all the mistakes in the book.
And so what are those small marginal games that you've been doing recently?
So it's something called, and this is where pen and paper's at the ready, is non-negotiables. So everyone has non-negotiables every day. You might not know it or whatever, but mine is 15,000 steps a day.
How do you fit that in?
I've done 19,000 today. So I was up this morning doing a few laps around Regent's Park, which is very nice. Minimum, I think it's about 4 litres of water a day on there. So keeping yourself fully hydrated. I try my best to get 8 hours sleep, but it's always about 7. Little things like trying to read every day, those little things. My New Year's resolution, I've not told anyone this, so I'm going to put it on record. How simple is this? I read it in a book about my goal is 10 press-ups a day.
Oh my gosh.
Now, last year, you think to yourself, oh, I did some press-ups or whatever, but there was sort of 4 gaps of days on there. But now I do 10 a day, and you go, oh my word, that's 3,500 a year. I'm going to be ripped when we do this podcast next year, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, part 2. You'll be sitting there like the Hulk.
I'll be all right, better. What about yourself? What are your non-negotiables?
This is something I'm trying to work on. Because of my ADHD, I struggle so much to keep a routine. It's just very chaotic up there. And so I don't have any non-negotiables other than try to get 10 hours sleep. And I didn't last night, so I'm a bit cranky. But I really do need to work on my non-negotiables because I hardly drink any water. I probably have a matcha a day and 1 glass of water. I probably do 5,000 steps a day, but it's not intentional. That's just me running around London like a headless chicken. And I don't exercise, and that's terrible. I work all day.
So I use it to my benefit as well to try and fit it around work. So if I'm editing content, I'll sit at the gym on the bike and, you know, get in a few miles doing that. Replying to emails, I'll do them at the gym as well. So I'll be on the treadmill. I'll be just stepping away and people look at me and go, what is he doing there? And everyone at the office now knows, oh, that's where James edits.
That's where I get all of your voice notes. Hi, Grace, just at gym, really empty today.
But it's little things like that. If I don't do it, so basically my energy levels stay really, really high at the start of the day. Then they start to dip off, as it all does. And then if I get some exercise in the afternoon, the endorphins kick in, then you get a few extra hours in the day. So I just try and cram in as much as possible every day. And I can't remember if it was an Alex Hormozy quote. He said basically you want to look back at the end of the day and say you've just put everything on the line, you've absolutely rinsed everything out of yourself, and by the time you go to bed, the other one is caffeine. Like I don't have any caffeine after about 9 a.m. anymore as well. So when you go to bed in the evening, poof, straight away.
Do you know what? That's so true. I have been detoxing my caffeine because when I was in corporate, I just drank so much coffee. It was ridiculous because I'm such a chatter, such a yapper. That's why I have a podcast. And so I'd be in the office and I'd be like, who wants to go to the kitchen and have a chat? And then you'd have a coffee. And then in the next half an hour, I'd be like, who wants a chat? And then I'd go to the kitchen, make another coffee. And then I'd have a Red Bull before I went to the gym. And like the whole thing was horrific. So I've detoxed the caffeine, which is brilliant. But I literally had one the other week because I was so tired. I had so much to do. I accidentally drank it at 7 p.m. and I was up all night.
It's one of those things that affects your sleep and then it'll affect your performance the next day. The other question that I wish someone would have told me 10, 15 years ago when I was growing up is, at what point in the day are you most productive? So this is where we all have a certain amount of willpower in the day, and you go to yourself, right, what's that one thing that I can put in that period of say 2 to 3 hours that if I did it in that period, today would be a successful day. Now for students, that is doing a mock paper 2 times under exam conditions, or if you're a CEO or a content creator, those are the 2-3 hours that you've got the most amount of willpower, you feel great, and if you get that stuff done in that little window, that's when you're going to flourish on that. You've just got to work out when your window is. Now mine is 8 a.m. till about midday, 1 p.m, something like that. When would you say yours is?
Mine's about 2 till 6.
Okay, so you're more of a night owl. I'm more of an early bird on there.
I like my slow mornings. I'm not productive. And then I work later into the evening.
Yeah. Well, if you're an employer out there, this is something that, we've got the traditional 9 to 5, where you're saying that, I work best first thing in the morning. Give me a load of accounts, tax returns, stuff like that, helping people out. Blast through loads of them, put in a good playlist or something. Whereas if you were stuck in the same meeting with me at 9 a.m. in the morning, you're not going to get the best out of Grace. So that's where the flexible working conditions post-COVID has helped some more than others, I would say.
Definitely. And I think being a business owner, obviously I can pick my own hours, which is so nice. And so I don't really put anything in my calendar before 10, 11, because I know it's not going to be a productive conversation because I'm going to be half asleep. Which is just so nice to have the freedom. But when did you start deciding to create content, and how did you decide what to create content about?
So I started creating content on March the 29th, 2020, when Boris came on the TV and said, no one's allowed to do anything, no going to work or anything like that. Sorry, Boris, if you listen, that was you. And basically, the university I was working at the time sent an email saying, nobody come in, we're just waiting to see. And I looked around, I went, I've got all these old books and everything like that I've been saying for years. And that was the day when I did my first rubbish video, stuck it on YouTube, and the rest is history. It's had millions of views worldwide. Not that video, but the other ones we've uploaded. But it's just the helping people. The question someone listening to this should ask themselves is, what is your why on there? Because so many people look back on their life with so many regrets. And I started to talk to more and more people, and I went, oh my word, look at all these people that are just going to work every day, not enjoying what they do, spending loads and loads of time, and then not making as much money as they'd like to. So I went, wouldn't it be cool to help out thousands of people, saving them thousands of pounds? And that's what I've been doing since. Amazing.
And so have you come across any challenges when you've been creating content?
The balancing of time, Grace. When you're working full time and then trying to do other things on the side, it is a big challenge on there. I have taken on my first intern this year.
Oh,
He's
congratulations.
very, very nice. Very, very nice. It comes down to the main challenge of time, the effort, the energy. And I'm going to say this on record. There are some days, Grace, where I cannot be bothered. Like literally, I know, you cannot be bothered. Even though my videos are quite upbeat, but some of them I've just gone, James, can't be bothered. Do you ever find that when you're recording, maybe doing some overviews or day in the life videos, you go,
yeah,
oh, I can't be bothered today.
Yeah, I was meant to do like a weekly vlog this week, and then I was like, no, I'm good, thanks.
Yeah. This isn't to put anyone off from recording content, putting himself out there, but it's to show that you and I have posted out thousands of videos. And I can tell you now, there are some days, like I said, you can't be bothered to do it, and you just think, oh, I might just put my feet up, watch Netflix, even though I don't have a Netflix account. Yeah, just really saying to someone, the journey is always up and down on it. There are some good days, there's some bad days. There are some horrifically bad days, Grace, on there. So it's a case of just ploughing through, and there'll be one day where you might get an award, you might get a new client, and you just sit to yourself and go, no way. Like, remember day one, sat on your floor recording that first video, James, to now signing your first corporate client. I help students out in Southeast Asia, as you know. And I remember going to the Qatar Airways check-in, and the lady there said, you are the happiest person I've met all day, and this is the 9 p.m. flight. Like, what's going on in your world? And I thought she was like checking me on, and I'm like, I'm okay. I said, no, I get paid to go help students halfway around the world. It's great. I'll sit on a plane, watch Jason Bourne. What have you got for 2025 that you really want to achieve yourself, personally or business-wise, that you're saying, yes, has to happen this year?
There's loads of stuff in the pipeline that I'm super excited about. I think it's just being bigger and better. I can't give too much away because fortunately it's under wraps.
Even for me.
I'll tell you off camera. But I also think it's about finding my content style better. Obviously, I've posted loads of videos and some have done well and some haven't. That's all part of the process. But finding something that just really works for me, and also putting more time and effort into YouTube is something. I think we had this conversation last year as well, and I didn't do it. And now I'm like, okay, I've got like a new flat, like I don't have any excuses. I just need to start posting it.
The one thing with that is
HMRC are introducing a new initiative called Making Tax Digital, and this may affect you. But Making Tax Digital is simple with Sage. From April 2026, if you earn more than £50,000 from your self-employment or from being a landlord, you'll need to use Making Tax Digital compatible software to do the following. Keep digital records, submit a summary of your income and expenses on a quarterly basis, and finalise your business income and expenses at the end of the year. With Sage's software for the self-employed, you can activate MTD income tax self-assessment return functionality to ensure you're ready and compliant for the future.
Surrounding yourself with people who are in the same ball game as well, because I chat to my family and friends, and I went for our reunion up in Lincoln and Leicester, and they all go, how's the YouTube stuff going, all this kind of stuff. I don't really understand it, like how does it all work? I speak with a couple of people, including yourself, and we just chat about content, how can you get better, collaborations, all these sort of things. So finding that little group, I would say, on there makes a massive difference.
100%. And to put the question on to you, what are your goals this year?
A few fitnessy ones, which I'm sure the audience might enjoy. You won't on there. I'm going to be doing another triathlon this year, but
God.
I might try and do a half Ironman. But trying to fit in the training around life and everything like that is going to be a big one. I always go to one new country every year, so that will be definitely on the list. In terms of content-wise, I'm aiming by the end of the year to have 50,000 subscribers on YouTube. That is with no budget, no advertising. I use the camera on my 2016 laptop. So for inspiration for anyone out there, just do it. I've got a free microphone that a company gifted me when I did a podcast for them a few years ago, and I usually have a headset that I have from work. That's it. I've got no budget. So 50,000 on YouTube, maybe 25k on TikTok, 25 on Instagram. It's a numbers game. It's more and more content, and just enjoy it.
And so how did you start monetizing social media? Because I think a lot of people start posting on social media with the intent that one day it will become an additional income stream. So how did you go about that?
Completely fair. It's not sort of about chasing the money, because otherwise money comes and money goes very easily on there. I remember getting paid £100 for my first ever video on there and telling my mum about it. Somebody's called me up. They want me to record a little video about a review of a book. It's like £100. I went, oh my gosh, this is fantastic. But it's just starting small. Thinking to yourself, when have you ever invoiced someone? I haven't invoiced anyone in years. The lady got back to me and said, can you send over your full invoice process and all this sort of thing? And I'm like, I'm just James on a laptop after work here. So don't be scared is what I'm getting at for anyone who's thinking about doing it. You've got to get good at working on all the different areas of your business, not just the marketing and the content, but also the invoicing, the admin, the taxes side of it, even the likes of Canva. I'm an accountant by trade. I now use Canva. I'm like, I'm quite good on Canva now. It's all right. So all these little things, I tell to students at Chichester who are in digital marketing and all these sort of things, I'm an accountant. I'm not a real techie person. But the main thing is I try and add value in my content. That's the main thing. Because lots of people are really good at shouting about me. I've done this, I've done that, which is fair, which is great. But you've got to think about the person who's watching it. They want to learn something off you. Yeah. And that's why they'll follow the journey and go through it. That's why I try to be as transparent as possible to say the budget is naught, the content quality is all right, but the value of what I'm saying, I hope you're finding credible and good. There.
Yeah, and then that's when you get traction and all that sort of stuff. And then brands notice what you're saying as well. Yeah. And they're like, we want a bit of that.
Yes, but posing it out there to listeners now, what would you say to the offers maybe you've had to collaborate with companies and brands? Have you always said yes to all of them, or have you turned a few down maybe?
I've turned a lot down because for me personally, they have to align with what I'm doing. So if it's a company that I've never used and they want me to say that their product is amazing, I say no, or I say I need to try your product first.
Yeah, exactly.
Or if we had this conversation before, if it's something that doesn't align with my personal brand pillars, then I'm going to say no to it, because I've built up that trust and credibility with my audience, and then for me to go and promote something which is against my personal brand, it's not a good look.
Completely agree. But then it's for whoever's listening to this, they've got to say, right, what do I stand for? What is my niche? The best bit of advice I can give anyone listening to this is, if you didn't get paid to do it, would you still do it?
Exactly.
Those are the days where you wake up and you go, I've got to record 3 videos on ACCA, ICAW and CIMA. I'm not going to get paid for this, but I'm going to help out thousands of people around the world with the information about it. Are you going to go do it? Because you've got to record it, you've got to check the sound, you've got to put captions on it, you've got to make sure it looks good, you've got to cut it as well, and then you've got to upload it to all the different platforms and tag and everything. It's not a quick job, because I'm sure you could watch The Lion King or whatever instead. There are opportunity costs. That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah, definitely. And I think you should only do it with something that aligns to you. Like, for example, I had a professional body reach out to me and go, oh, we'd love you to do a couple of videos for us around this new product that they were doing. And I was like, that's great, but I've never taken a single one of your exams. And so for me, that doesn't align personally. And I can't promote it because I haven't done it.
Yeah, no, completely agree. And there's no problem in saying no. I had a company reach out to me recently who wanted me to do some videos explaining about Excel, like really complex Excel functions on there. And they sent a brief video with it, and it had AI on it, and the AI went through it and said, if you click this button, then you do this button, then you go to this button, then you go to that button, then you go to that button. And I looked at it and went, I'm sorry, do you just want me to repeat what the AI is doing and follow what the AI is doing, but make it sound a bit more, entertaining and stuff? And I just emailed them and said, no, I'm really sorry. 1, it's not my forte, and 2, that's going to take so much time on there. Sadly, can't help you out, but we bounce, we move on, no hard feelings on there. Perfectly fine with it. That's it. The bit of advice that is, don't let your mouth overweight your back, I think it's called on there by Jim Rohn, where if you keep saying yes to lots and lots and lots of things, then that means you're saying no to other things on there, and you keep going, oh my God, more, and then your back's getting more and more overloaded. So yes, I'll be saying no to a lot more things this year as well.
That's what I want to try to do, because obviously last year was my first year of business, so I said yes to absolutely everything, which I don't regret at all, because it laid the solid foundations that I have now to be able to build on it. There were points where I was just absolutely exhausted, and I literally broke down in tears, being like, I literally cannot do this anymore. I'm so unhappy because I've got so much on, and I've said yes to all of these things, and I've committed to everything, and I don't have time for it.
But I really like the transparency in your content as well, because you just show it how it is, and then it relays. I particularly look at it and go, yeah, I understand how she's feeling. There are those nights where you can't be bothered, or you get a bit upset. I mean, the other thing that I think viewers would be interested to know about is the comments that you and I get online. What do you think to that? How do you deal with those sort of things?
Those negative comments?
Yeah.
I'm intrigued. What negative comments do you get?
I get some about my hair.
What? But you have long, luscious locks.
No, someone thought it wasn't real. That was it. And the other one was because I admit online that I failed exams. So I failed 2 exams, and it wasn't sort of a 48, 49 just about to pass. It was a 32, nowhere near. And basically people write on there, you don't know what you're on about then, clearly nowhere near it. Like, they just want the easy route, someone who's passed all the time. Whereas you speak to people around the world, accountants or young accountants, qualifying people now will look at this and go, I've got children, I'm maybe trying to set up my own business, I've got other financial, we're not even talking about financial commitments. Loads and loads of students now are really struggling financially, that they struggle with actually like the simple things that I take for granted, like budgeting and stuff like that. I've been brought up on save your money, put it away. Then I started learning about investing and all these sort of things. But would you say you're good at money, Grace?
Yeah, definitely. But I think that's easier for me because I come from that sort of background. And when I was younger, I saved everything anyway.
Yeah.
So it was just like instilled in me. So it wasn't that bad. But I think transparency about failing exams is really important. Like, I did a video with AAT for their like student platform, and one of the questions was, what do you do when you fail an exam? And I went, I failed an exam. And you just go back to the drawing board and you review your exam so you know what went well and what didn't go well, and then you just work a bit harder. Like, for me, it was personal circumstances. I was going through something really horrific and I wasn't in the right mindset to take that exam. I took it anyway, and I knew I was going to fail, and that's kind of fine. And I failed by 3%. It was really bad. But then you just go back to the drawing board with a fresh mindset. So many people fail an exam. It's not something to be ashamed of or hide, but it's just like improving on yourself.
The only thing to add to that is, for any accounting student who's getting into the industry, really be careful when you're reading the study contracts and as you're going through it, because there are some employers still out there who, if you were to fail sometimes once but usually twice, then that could be a reason to potentially terminate your contract on there as well. That's the transparency for it, that, you know, when I failed my exam, my employer came to me and said, James, you failed an exam, you weren't even very close on there, we're looking after you. It's a case of, you know, how can we help you get forward? But reaching out to other people in the same sort of situation to say what's working for you. Clearly something didn't work well in your preparation. So it's a case of, don't feel bad if you have failed. Well, people go through it, but you've got to think to yourself, right, I didn't do it right that way first time round. How am I going to get better the next time? That's the key thing.
Definitely. And having that open conversation with your employer, because they do put that in the contracts. I had it in mine too. But I went to my line manager as soon as that result came in. I went, I know exactly why I failed this. Can we go into a room and chat about it?
Perfect.
And that's what we did. And she was like, no stress whatsoever.
Yeah.
Like, just take it whenever you're ready. And sometimes there's extenuating circumstances, or you're just not getting it and you need to sit down with your training provider or your teacher for a little bit longer and actually understand the content more.
We've got some students who are transitioning into accounting now where they might be in their 30s or 40s, they've had careers elsewhere. Perfectly fine, like, to not get it. I remember when I first started doing debits and credits when I was
didn't get it at all.
18. I remember being sat there in this lecture theatre about 8 weeks in going, we've been here for 8 weeks and I'm learning about tax and financial management and stuff. But I still don't get these debits and credits. How does it work?
T accounts took me so long.
Yeah.
I was like, where's it all going?
I know, so don't feel bad, anyone listening.
And so what do you do to not let the hate comments get to you? Because at the beginning it really like affected me and really got to me, and I get messages now from people that have started creating content and they get negative and hate comments and they go, Grace, don't know how you deal with it because I can't do it today.
I just have it in my mindset as an expectation out there. If you're willing to put content out into the world, there's always, not everyone's going to like you. That's the other thing. And it goes with the expectation that I go, someone's going to see this and they're going to go, don't agree with it, and they might send something mean on there. You can decide to look at them yourself or not. It's completely up to you. And then that's what you have in your control. And then the other thing you have in your control is, do you want to respond to them, yes or no?
Yeah.
Now, I personally, you might have seen on some of my posts, that if you get some bots or some other people are a bit mean, I go, thank you very much for your comment, Dave. That's really helped the algorithm for me. Enjoy the next video. That's what I tend to write, because then it goes, well, Dave's waiting for my next video because he'll watch it again. Yeah. That's what I think. What about yourself?
What do? I don't know. I think it very much depends. And also, as a female, I'm more hormonal at some points in the month than others. So, for example, if I'm very hormonal and I get a lot of hate comments, I take it way more personally than I would if I wasn't hormonal. And so that has a role to play in it as well. But it's also understanding that most of those people aren't a qualified accountant. They're not a business owner. It's usually coming from a place of jealousy. A lot of my hate comments are from teenage boys or old men, and so it's just a weird demographic that I seem to attract. And so it's understanding that they're not in the position that I'm in, and so at the end of the day their comment is not really that valid because they're not doing what I'm doing. Exactly. Even though that might sound a bit harsh, but it is what it is. I usually don't respond to them because I can't be asked. But usually what I will do is I will screenshot it and put it on my Instagram story to call out people's behaviour, or put it on LinkedIn and call them out there.
It's the same thing from their side, is that they're making those comments in the public domain on there, so anyone can go onto their profile and have a look at it. There's one lady online, this is going a bit on a tangent, but I'll mention it anyway. She gets hate comments, her demographic are from other women on there. So you might have seen it online. She's done a few videos that have gone viral on it, and she looks on the ladies' profiles who have sent mean comments to her, and then she'll start to try and find out who their husbands and boyfriends are and just say, look, your wife sent me this message, very nice of her, have a lovely day. Little things like that, but she deals with it that way. For me personally, it's a case of, it goes with the territory, it's the price on the ticket, I put myself out there. And if you do a video on the Big Four or something like that, and you say, oh, what's it like working at the Big Four? And you go, oh, maybe it's got some long hours in there. Probably has on there. Is it going to be stressful on you? Probably is, you know, all these sort of things. It's never going to be perfect. That's the thing.
No, never. And I did that video where I started correcting people's grammar on hate comments.
I did like that.
That was
good.
Funny. Yeah. That was hilarious. But it's just learning to deal with it in a way that suits you, and then learning to take time away from social media when you think it's affecting you, and having just a bit of a cleanse from it.
I agree.
And so what do you think are some accounting myths when people start? Because I feel like you go, oh, I'm studying accountancy, and people are like, I don't really know what that means.
not that long ago and still going on that I meet from prospective students are that, James, why are you not wearing a grey suit? Someone asked me, have I got a calculator on me? I think that was another one. Oh, should I just pull it out now? Other ones are sort of, you're going to get siloed and you're just going to be sort of plonked in the corner of an office in a dark room or something like that, which is completely wrong on there now. Other ones can be true in some roles, like you are going to spend a lot of time in front of a computer. Again, it goes with the role, with the territory on there. It depends on what you want from accounting. Now, for me, and again, I'll say on record, it's been brilliant because you can get really good with your numbers. It helps me with my budgeting, helps me run my businesses. The one thing that really digs me that I'm going to do more content on is you do loads of revision and questions on the things like financial education areas like investing and diversified funds and stuff like that. And I go, but how many accountants actually go and do that in real life to help their lives? Answer, very few. Be in my bonnet for 2025. It's not financial advice or anything like that, but take what you've learned and apply it to help your life with setting up a business, taxes, investing, whatever it may be.
And I think that's so true, especially when you're having a personal budget and a business budget.
Yeah.
Because they're two very different things.
Yeah. I've got a tax payment coming up in 6 months' time, 31st of January deadline. Have I set aside some cash, if you're a sole trader, to pay it? Yeah. Simple things like that. It goes a long way.
Definitely.
It's just little things, I would say. Reach out to someone. There's some great books out there as well. Lots of people now as well, when they come to finish their ACCA, ICAW or CIMA, lots of students who qualified then just hit a ceiling and then they don't have any personal development from it. I get loads of questions on that. So reading some good books on it. The Richest Man in Babylon, very good book. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, very good book on there. Check them out. It will change your life.
100%. And so when someone is looking to do an accounting qualification, what are the differences between all of them?
Oh, gosh, good question on there. I mean, there are varieties as to some people want a accounting qualification that is, say, globally recognised. Well, they all are globally recognised. It's just some have a few more members than others. So ACCA has the highest number of members and could be deemed to be the most globally recognised, probably because they've got so many members on there. But then there are, on the other side, ICAW have good ties with, say, like the Big Four on there, and it's very UK focused. But then someone from ICAW, I've got friends who have done it, they've gone off out to Australia, New Zealand, Dubai, and it's recognised out there. Historically, CIMA's been sort of more management accounting niche based, so you get lots of companies in industry who will specifically say, we want CIMA accountants on there because they'll be doing lots of costing. AAT is great because it's for someone who wants to get into accounting. Think of it as dipping your toe in, seeing if you like it, and if you don't like it, you've still got a great qualification there. You've got a few little bits and pieces. And if you want to take it on to that next notch, have your AAT. And then if you want to do the others, even better. Or you can just stick with your AAT as well, because it's a great qualification to have.
Yeah, and I think it's really good for new business owners as well, just to get an understanding of how financials work. Especially like a level 2 or a level 3 is brilliant because it's not too much commitment, not too many exams. But once you've completed it, you'll have such a better understanding of the insides and financials of your business.
Absolutely spot on. If it's not for you, I say to some of my students this, they might start on the accounting and finance program, they do a few modules and then they come to me and say, James, accounting and finance, it's just not for me. I said, that's cool. Don't worry about it. You've got some good knowledge now. Go and apply it in whatever area you want to go into. But having that little bit of financial knowledge, whether it's about cash flows, ratios, P&L, balance sheet, assets, goes such a long way on there. So if anyone's thinking about starting in accounting, listening to this, I would probably say check out the AAT, go and see what they've got for the resources, reach out to come to their free webinars as well.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm doing them. They're brilliant.
Good plug.
Highly recommend.
Yeah, good stuff. And at the end of the day, you give it a go.
See what happens. Amazing. The last question is, what is a piece of advice you would give to your younger self?
Accounting-wise or life-wise?
Both. Why not?
Accounting-wise, I would say put yourself out there a lot more in your younger years. So when I was 18, I went down the university route. But whether you're doing college or an apprenticeship, anything like that, reach out to as many people as possible. I didn't realise the advantage you have at 17, 18, say you're a bit older in your career like I am now, is that you have a lot of time for a 17-year-old who is really proactive and keen, because you're going, oh my word, look at this guy or lady, how keen are they? I'll give them 10 minutes on here. And you just never know who you can meet, whether that be LinkedIn, other social media, going to networking events. I remember going to a networking event at 6 in the morning when I was 18, and I was just going there going, oh my God, I feel so out of place here. But it's not what the traditional 18-year-old does. So put yourself out there. You just never know who you could meet, and read more books as well. I don't know, it was all that stereotype, it's uncool to read books. And now I read books and I go, oh my gosh, I can just take all the knowledge of somebody and they've put it in a book and I can listen to it on audio. So that would be what I would do accounting wise. James, personal wise would be think about the long term a lot more in every decision that you make. Jim Rohn talks about everything affects everything else, and whether that be your health, your wealth, like the things that you want to do in your personal life, all these sort of things, everything is uphill. So if you want great friendships, that takes effort and time. I'm one of 5 children. I've got a large family, not my own personally. I don't have any children or pets. But if I want a great relationship with all my siblings, that is uphill. You've got to allocate time, get to know them. All these things are super, super important. And then that takes up more and more and more of your life. Oh my word, these are all really important things to myself. So working out what is important to you and then thinking long term and then going, just give it a go, just give it a try, whatever, it could happen.
Love that. Such a good piece of advice. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.